Hey, and welcome to the Three Married Ladies Opinion Podcast. We are finally doing it. This is our first episode, and happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So,
Happy Valentine's Day.
teach one.
I'm Mrs. Selfie.
And I'm Nika Knight.
The first thing we want to talk about today is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
What does Valentine's Day mean to you, and how do you celebrate? Or do you celebrate? Or is there certain special things that you do for Valentine's Day? So we're going to take a little bit of time to talk about that, and then we're going to get on to our interesting conversation that is a must, especially on this day. I'll go first. Me and my husband, we've been married almost 19 years. June will be 19 years. I think for maybe the last, about 15 of those years, we've kind of like backed off Valentine's Day, doing all this extravagant stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because we feel like we do stuff for each other all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, the day to celebrate love. But I think we kind of feel like we do that already, so it's like another day for us.
Yeah.
Give them a card or something like that. You know what I mean? Get a nice card. Maybe get some balloons. But to do a whole lot of other stuff, nah, we don't really do that. We just feel like that pretty much just marketing and just commerce and stuff like that. So we really don't get into all that. But yeah. So what do y'all do?
I know for myself, I think I just outgrew Valentine's Day. To me, it's like a teenage time to express love, where you used to get in the balloons and teddy bears, chocolate candies, chocolate covered strawberries, and like you said, the cards and stuff like that. But once you get older and you in that relationship where you getting that type of treatment every day, I know my husband, he'll hand me a card just because.
Right.
It won't even have to be a special day. He always been like that, even when we were friends. He's giving me a card that has, special and kind words and that expressing his love. But
Go ahead, Mr. McCoy.
Valentine's Day is just like I guess for some it's a reminder day, It's almost just like a tradition. You just doing it because.
This Nika Knight, and let's see. My opinion of Valentine's Day is kind of the same in the sense, like, you get older, you don't care, but because life is so busy all the time, it's kind of like sometimes give a card, sometimes we discuss it beforehand, or you know what, we can't get each other nothing this year, because sometimes it depends on money. So sometimes I be wanting to be surprised, and maybe I might get something, but then you get all disappointed and stuff like that. So after all this time, I would say 16 years all together, 12 years married, the only Valentine's Day gift that I really remember is the one that I still wear, which is our first Valentine's Day together, that I got a necklace. All the other Valentine's Days, I don't even really remember like that, because a lot of times we didn't have money to celebrate. We just got each other a card, or maybe went away, something like that. But yeah, as you get older, you don't need all of that. You need to start doing it all the time instead of just that day, because it's kind of like a commerce day. Commercial day.
Yeah.
That's, to me, just be consistent. If you consistently doing that, then to me Valentine's Day is just another day. You know what I mean? I think my anniversary is probably more special to me than Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that day is probably what I look forward to with each year in terms of showing love. Valentine's Day, it is for me.
If you have a new partner, if I just met someone and Valentine's Day was coming up and we've been dating, my expectation is I'm going to get something on Valentine's Day. But my husband and I, we've been in a relationship for like 16 years, lovers to friends to, now married and all that. So on Valentine's, I always got the gift, the cards and the balloons, but Once you say that I do, it moves from Valentine's to anniversary, like you said, Tease.
It's a different level of commitment. It is a different level of commitment. The expectation is different. You know what I mean? In my opinion. All right, so that's our opinion about Valentine's Day. There are some people that are going to get a very special gift on Valentine's Day because we know this is a pop time for people to pop the question, ask someone to marry them. So what should you know before you ask the question or before you say yes to a proposal? Okay, what are some things that you should know about your partner before you think about getting married or before you get married? I was talking to my husband about this last night, and I mean, there's so much we could talk about, but I know one of the things that we talked about was your finances. That is very important because finances is usually the number one reason why people get divorced. So before you get into a marriage, you should know about that person's credit history. You should know about their debts. You should know about their spending habits, because those all can contribute to strain on a marriage. Okay. The other thing I would suggest is where's that person mentally and spiritually. If you are not equally built spiritually, that can cause a lot of strain on marriage. Case to the point, my father is Muslim, my mother is Christian. So are they married? No. But I know that it was contentious when they were thinking about naming me because my father wanted to go with something that was a traditional Muslim female name, and my mother was like, not having it. So something as simple as that, your child can become a problem if you are spiritually not in tune with one another or with whatever you pray to, whoever you pray to, whoever you worship. The other thing was mentally. You need to know about somebody's mental state. I mean, that is a very, very important thing, as well as their health status. Like, that's important too.
You're preaching.
Yeah, because when you say the sickness and health, and that person has an illness, you know, and it may not be a fatal illness, it could be something chronic. So you may wind up having to be a caretaker for a while for your spouse. And so if you are not aware of that or you're not informed of that, that could be something that someone may not have really wanted to sign up for. You know what I mean? You know, that to me, and I can speak from this because my husband and I experienced health challenges during our marriage. So like when they say sickness and health, we done been to that through that vow.
So that's key right there, what you said, Tease. Like, so you would really need to know whatever you say I do to, or going to say I do to, you need to know those things. Yeah. So like you said, health and sickness, you need to know that person through that. Like, you know, what are their medical history? And not just know it, but ask yourself, you know, I'm a selfie. Ask yourself, can you manage it? Can you deal with it? Right? More long term, not short term, not just one medical appointment, but it may be if that person, you know, is diagnosed with a disease like diabetes, high blood pressure, right? You know, you won't be a part of that person's treatment plan. So you have to know that person's medical history and also know if you're able to deal and manage with it.
That is a stress. It is a stress. Definitely is a stress. And we've seen people, you know, divorced because one of their partners was sick and they loved them, but it was just overwhelming to that person.
Exactly.
Like, I just can't do this anymore. And so you don't really want to, you know, take on something that you really not sure that you could deal with. You know, now sometimes diseases come out of the blue. Like I was diagnosed with cancer at 25. And so that was unexpected. I'm in remission, thank God, for the last, almost 2 years now. Yes. Thank God. But my husband had to be there with me through all the steps. So, you know, there were times when we couldn't even stay in the same room with one another because of my treatment that I was going through. We had to totally go through our home and like wash things like 2 and 3 times because of the treatment that I was taking. You know, flushing the toilet. I mean, it's just like little stuff that you don't consider, especially at 25. You know, we had just been married only a couple months before I got the diagnosis. So, you just really have to know that you are in it for the long term, if you're willing. You know, if you're willing.
I can remember me asking myself, not only if I can manage it, if, you know, my partner got sick, but also, do I trust this person with my life?
Right.
Like, do I trust this person? And I know no one can be like 100%. They said trust no man, but at some point you have to have some level of trust. Like, do I trust this person to take care of me if I get sick?
Right.
Or is this person just gonna be running the street while I'm home, probably bedbound, needing my medicine, and they out on the street? So, you know, just certain things.
Yes, my name, I would say my name is Nick at Night, and I feel like Mr. Selfie in a way of you need to know yourself. So, you need to know you. Like, how are you gonna be able to love somebody if you don't even know how to love yourself? And many of us don't do that before we get married. I know I'm one of those people that didn't do these things, and I believe that the reason why we're here on, you know, doing this podcast now, because we're gonna give information to people and our opinions, and it might resonate with them. It might be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. And when you don't know yourself, sometimes you're gonna have way more bumps in the road or way more stress because you didn't know what you was looking for, or you didn't know that what you was gonna get in the end. Because not everything, people may not tell you everything before you get married. So there may be some things that come up that you didn't even know. So you need to know yourself. So if you know yourself, then you know how to handle it. You know what I'm saying? So that's one big thing that I think you should know. And then another thing would be like what each one said with the finances, because when me and my husband started out, we still, you know, we still struggling now, but we both knew that, you know, people have other children besides where you're with them, and he had other children, back child support, you know, he got all that stuff. So if you feel like that's something you can deal with, I believe that person should be able to tell you, I got 3-4 baby mamas, I got, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 kids. Like, these are things that you should
paying child support.
Yeah, you should already know. Like,
that's real.
Yeah.
Well, I have one. This is my biggest one because I'm the newlywed up in here. This is Miss Sophie. So my biggest one of the 3 things, I mean, what you should know before you get married is habits. Oh my goodness. Habits. Habits in almost every area that you can think of. What are their habits? And can you handle it? And can they handle your habits? And are your habits alike? One thing, like, I thought I knew my husband as a friend, a lover, meaning that once I became his wife, the obligation level part, however you want to call it, came into play. So I didn't really consider and recognize his habits until I said I do. Like, they were there, but I didn't pay attention to them because at that time, on that level of our relationship, they weren't affecting me.
Yeah.
But after the I do came, the habits came. And I'm like, okay, can I do this? And my mind like, shoot, it's too late. You already said that I do. And then I'm like, well, you know, it's still, you know, a little prenup still, you know, that might be, maybe we can we run back to the court before the process? You know, this like certain habits. And we found, and those habits caused so much arguments. because I had habits that I didn't know. Because like Yannick was saying, you know, every period of your life, you're going through something and you're growing. So as you grow, you have to get to learn yourself on a different level. So I had to pull back sometimes and learn myself and rediscover myself all over again. And knowing that what I thought this thing should be is not going to be like that thought.
Right.
So and erasing that and, you know, and say, okay, and really getting to know who I married and building, you know, communication, do that stuff. But before, it was basically his way, my way, and then we supposed to mend it together. My expectation, his expectation, my secrets, which are habits, his secrets, which are habits. And so in exposing it, you know, then after you expose it, it's like, okay, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to handle it? How are we going to, you know, make it better? But in the beginning, it's a lot of, you do this to me. Why you did that to me? You said this. And it's really like, look, this been going on. You just ain't pay attention to it. Right? And I didn't acknowledge it because I wasn't obligated to.
Right.
But now, you know what I'm saying? That could be eating habits, that could be drinking habits, that could be money management habits, you know, all of that. So that's like right now in our second round of marriage, we started communicating better.
Right.
You know, becoming vulnerable, you know, getting out of that mindset of me versus you and being more us. So sharing bank account information, like, you know, being really vulnerable, sharing, taking the codes off of phones, phone access available, you know, all that type of stuff. But yeah, or if you do have a security code on your phone, because, you know, you can always lose your phone. We know we have a security code. You know,
your partner knows.
Yeah, because sometimes what I see as cheating, you don't see as cheating. Or what I see as flirting, you may not see as flirting. So we even had to learn like each other's language. Like, okay, I'm just not gonna go on my definition of flirting. Tell me what flirting is to you.
And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it can feel like a deception, not necessarily.
Exactly.
But you kept that from me, so why are you being deceptive? Because that could lead to other.
And then another that was each one was saying about the spiritual. Let me tell y'all this. Oh my gosh, it's a Petty Betty moment with me. Because in the beginning, I'm a church girl. So my husband, before we said I do, he knew that I wanted to marry someone that would attend church with me. Now, you know, this is my young, you know, my beginning stage thinking. Whoever I marry, they're going to come to church with me. We're going to praise the Lord. And he did that. But after the I do, I didn't pay attention to the fact that before, he wasn't attending no church and he didn't belong to one. Ooh. And after that, he was just doing it for me. So, you know, he that's the bamboozle, whatever you want to call it, type moment. Bamboozle. He gaslighted, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? So after I do, it was, you can't make me go to church. So in my mind, in my expectation, it was, well, how I'm telling my bishop and everybody I'm married, I got a wedding ring on, but I'm showing up single every Sunday. That don't look right.
Yes, and that's what
but you can't make me go to church. So what? You want a divorce now because I don't want to go to church? And for real, I was about to be like, yeah. If you don't go to church with me, guess what? You ain't getting no coochie on Sunday.
Oh, man. She started bargaining with the coochie. Well, on today.com, I wanted to say this week at night, they said, be aware, like Mr. Sophie said, be aware of your expectations that you're bringing into the marriage. Be aware. You probably want a lot from one person. You want a companion. You want a passionate lover. You want a good parent. You want more. You have so much issues that come up after the marriage, but you need to know the expectations beforehand. You need to know what kind of thing that your partner likes, how much they like to have sex. You need to know the habits that you were saying, that if they want someone to attend church with them. But sometimes if you know yourself, then you won't be expecting anything from nobody else. If you know yourself, you know what I'm saying, to me, you shouldn't be expecting it from somebody else. That's another human being that has their own mind, their own ways. And instead of putting your expectations on somebody else, you can tell them, and that's my opinion. My opinion is like, you can tell them what you might want, but you're marrying a whole nother human. They may say, well, yeah, I'm all in love, so I'm going to say yes right now. Yeah, I'll do all that. And then the serotonin wear off. Yeah, the serotonin wear off, and it's like, you know what? That's not really me. So sometimes they may do it just because you put it on them and you expected them. So sometimes we have to I want to quote people because I don't want to say like this is my idea, but sometimes Zoe will say, you got to get rid of and break up with your expectations of someone else's personality, someone else's moves, behaviors, like that. You can't put your expectations on somebody else at all. Like, it's like you can, in your head, you're going to be disappointed every time you put the expectation. I mean, you can talk to them about what you feel, about what you want, about what you think should happen. But really, all in all, you know, I had to learn that I can't expect someone else to always be like I dreamt them to be. Like, this is not Disney. You know.
Well, this is each one teach one. I think it's okay to have realistic expectations. Like, you should not expect your mate to cheat on you. You should not. Like, that's the expectation you should have. But what I heard somebody say this, and it saved me a whole lot of arguing and fussing. What you can't expect is you from someone else.
What you mean?
Because you expect people to like you in a relationship to act like you would do this how you would.
Oh, yes. You can't expect somebody to be like you. Okay,
so yeah, you cannot expect.
I'm still going through that process. Go ahead, I'm listening. I'm taking notes.
You literally can't. So, you know, the way I express love to my husband, that may not be the way he expressed love back to me. This is coming from my heart, recognizing that they are meeting the expectation that you have. They're not meeting it as you would do.
Yeah.
So you can't expect you from your partner. You can't expect that. Because like they said, like Nick and Knight and Miss Sophie said, they are individuals, you know, and every individual is different. So you can't expect you from somebody. And that had saved me like a whole lot of headache. Because now when I look at some things that my husband does, I'm like, okay, that's the him thing. That's the him thing. Okay, this is my husband. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you know, my husband, if it's something going on with my car, okay, I'm going to take the car, I'm going to get it done. And for him, that's him keeping me safe. That's him making sure that if I'm out and about by myself, that I have a car that is reliable. Do not ride on those 4 tires. Look at that, they bought. Okay, I'm going to go get you tires. Like, I'm just going to do it. And that's my husband's way of I'm being a good husband. You see what I'm saying? Whereas, like, you don't care about me, you don't never do nothing for me. But you guys are like, well, look, I just went out and, like, made sure your car was, like, perfectly safe for you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but you like, but you didn't buy me the purse I wanted. But look, baby, I paid $1,000 for your car to get fixed. You worried
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was me throughout the whole first year of my marriage. I ain't gonna lie.
It saved you a lot, and I would do the same thing. I would do the same exact thing. That's what I'm telling you. You will save yourself so much anxiety and pain and arguing by just not expecting you out of that person. Because they're not you. You know, they're not going to love you the way you love them. You know what I mean? I want him to love me the way I love him. No, you don't. No, you don't. You gotta have him love you the way he knows how to love. You know? Because if he loving me the way I love him, that may not be authentic, and your marriage can't stand on that.
Yeah.
It gotta come from a place that is unique to him, you know, or unique to her, you know. So that's where I think the unrealistic expectations come from, is that we expected us out of your partner, and that will never happen.
Another thing, you won't always feel in love when you marry. So you need to know that there's gonna be times that you're not gonna just always be feeling, oh, I'm so in love with this person, all throughout your marriage. You have them ups and downs. You have those seasons, you know. So that's another thing you should think about before you.
And that's true. I want to say something about that. Don't forget, I'm the newlywed, so I might have something to say about all y'all stuff. But that's true, because I'm like, I used to always feel alone. Like, why do I feel alone? And this Negro is here every single day. All day he's calling me, making sure I'm all right. He's doing this, he's doing that. But I felt alone. And so what I realized, not only did I feel alone, let me backtrack, I was also getting jealous. You do this and this for your friends. You don't do this and this for me, like you do this and this and this and this for them. And da-da-da-da-da. And when they call, you jumping up and leaving. And when I call, I might get the dial tone. Da-da-da-da, you know. And he like, you don't believe you number one in my life? And I'm like, no. Now there, I know I was lying to myself, but I just said no.
Being petty Betty.
I feel bad because I wanted him to feel good. Yeah, being petty Betty. No, I know I'm not number one, you know. But what I realized that if, like Tease was saying, it's not them, boo, it's you. So I had to realize that my husband needs space as well as I need space. And when he needs space, it's not because he don't want to be around, he don't want to be around me, or he don't love me, or he dislikes them, like y'all was saying. It's because he's an individual.
Yep.
And he's entitled to have space. And not only that, I had to realize how I was becoming overwhelming because I always want to be up in his space.
Needy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I had to, you know, rediscover myself, like, okay, Shalita, you need to have your own schedule. It can't just be work, home, and him. That's overwhelming. So I had to develop my own schedule. And what I did was, and which I think the reason why I made it to year 2, I had to rediscover who I am at this level at this time in my life.
Yeah.
I had to rediscover that. So that's, you know, just doing a lot of self-care and exploring different things, even if it's going to work out. Like, okay, well, I ain't in the house, he ain't here. Well, let me go visit some of my friends, or let me just go over here, you know, and enjoy my time and my space and myself.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Selfie was born.
You know, these
Mrs. Selfie was born out of that.
Once I started doing all of that, he looking at me like, well, who's this?
Mm-hmm.
But now I have become a better attraction to him. So now he want to be a part of everything I do. So now I done turned his space into him needing me. He's going up in my space now, but
she said that to me. She's amazing, my mother-in-law. I have to say, she over the years she's given me so much good advice, and I mean she was like, just never make yourself so available. Like
Exactly.
you need to be unavailable at that time, so you'll have faith. Not that you're not gonna be there for your spouse, like if just like just now, I got a call break, and I was like, oh, my husband called. It must be something I need to do because you know what I'm doing right now. So, but I'm doing something else. I have another interest where I'm focused on something else. And he's out going, having his space, his time. So you do need that in a marriage. You cannot, and somebody else gonna be this. Like, if you depend on somebody else to make you happy, you're gonna be an unhappy individual. You gotta be a happy person within yourself. You really do. You really do. But that is like a unrealistic job too. Like my job every day is just to make you happy. Well, if you're happy within yourself, there are gonna be things that you're gonna see that I'm doing. That's gonna complement that. You know what I mean? But my job is not gonna be to always do things the way you want them to make you happy. That's just unrealistic. So just be careful with that.
And to also to know this Sneak at Night, to know that conflict is inevitable. Like, you're gonna have conflict, but you want to know, how does your partner resolve conflict? Because once you pass the honeymoon phase, and arguments may happen because we're human, that's human nature. How does he handle arguments with his mom, with his dad, with his sister, with his brother? If you see he handles arguments in a way that you don't think, man, he kind of either too violent or he's too aggressive or whatever, or he or she, you may want to look at that before you get married. What y'all think?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
That's true. Yeah. I can remember sometimes before I even got married, before I got with my husband, just being out there dating. I won't say this person's name, but I seen how he handled his sister in an argument, and I left him alone. Like, you can handle your sibling that way that you live with? Oh no.
Share the room with? Oh yeah.
For real. No.
Nah. Yeah, that would be a big red sign. That person may need some help to deal with their anger. Seriously. Seriously.
Yeah, like each one said, you should discuss what a breach of trust would mean to you. That's something you should discuss, like she said. But also, when the going gets tough, when stuff gets hard, don't just quit right away. Unless you be in, domestic violence is no joke. So unless you're being abused, just because you're arguing a little bit, you know what I'm saying, doesn't mean you just call it quits, because that's normal. You have to learn that you didn't get married to automatically get divorced. And you need to those are just some things that we're mentioning, we're giving our opinions on about what you should know. Now, this is not dead set in stone. This is not we're not psychologists. We're just giving our opinions. This is just things
wait, ladies.
May not work in your house, so you have to know your partner. I tell everybody this all the time. They're like, how are you in? I'm like, listen, this is gonna work in our home. This may not work for you. So you need to really know who you are, like we said earlier, and who your partner is, so that you can come up with a plan together for what works for you. So you can take some ideas from here and there and say, you know what, let's try it. It's nothing wrong with trying things out, but don't just think that one person's opinion is a be-all, an answer to everything. And some things you want to learn by trial and error. That's just unavoidable, because life will do that to you. You'll experience loss probably, within your marriage. How do you deal with that, So, there's some things we're going to be talking about later, but just before you say I do, before you say yes to that proposal, you might want to consider these things. Because long-term goals, what are their long-term goals? Like, are you going on and you said, oh, I want to go on and become an entrepreneur and do all this, and your potential spouse is not really into that and not really going to cultivate that can cause some resentment on your part. So you really have to know who you are potentially marrying, because it is a different level of commitment. It is totally different than being somebody's girl or somebody's bae or even being somebody's wife. You know, it is a responsibility that comes with that. Like, when you make a vow, you're making a vow, you know? And you just want to make sure that when that vow comes up, you can answer the call to that vow. It's in there for a reason. It's in there
for a reason. Any extra time? Someone want to chime in?
Well,
this is my husband.
I hear what y'all saying, and it's right. Oh, I gotta be in there. What y'all saying is right, but like I think somebody said, you have to know the person's values. But when you first meet a person, that's the most important thing. You have to understand, especially as a woman, you have to understand this person might not catch up with you as you go on. They might be a little late in what you're trying to do, because women always think better than men. There ain't no question about that.
Ding, 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 ding.
They thinking better than men. So always have to get. It's just like anybody. I mean, it could be a homegirl. You got to give them a chance. Right. You know what I mean? You have to hold on. If you really love a person, you'll hold on. Because a man go through stuff too. It's the same thing. Man go through stuff too. But while he thinking, he probably got not a better mind of thinking like reality.
Yeah.
But you still have to think, damn, I met him like this. I'm gonna have to give him a approach to a different situation that you're going through, that person's going through. Even though you might discuss it, a man still gonna think, hey, I can still do this. You know what I mean? And eventually, I'll fall into it. And I think women should think the same thing. Eventually, he gonna fall into that place where you want him at, which it shouldn't be that way. It should be an equal thing. Everybody should think, get together. If you can't get together, then it's no work.
Yeah.
Everybody got to put an effort in everything. If a man gonna say something that y'all might not like, and he might not gonna go with everything you're saying, but in reality, if he really love you, he gonna stick in there. Mm-hmm. He's definitely gonna stick in there. I don't care what the situation is. He gonna be there, and he still might not change his ways, but at the same time, he gonna be there when crunch time comes.
Mm-hmm. That's important. That's important. If you there when it counts, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Very important.
All right, so you can wrap it up.
Yes, he's right. Sometimes you may have to invest in a brother. Like when I met my husband, we were in college. I had no idea, eventually where he would wind up, but I saw potential in him. I saw the potential was there. And I was like, okay, am I willing to invest, in this relationship, in where this can possibly go? So yes, there is investment that you do have to make in a person, because just like Miss Sophie husband said, like, he may not be where you want him to be right now, but there's growth. There's always room for growth. And as long as you're both willing to work towards that growth, y'all have a mutual understanding of that growth, then I think there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you can see.
I absolutely agree.
You can see the potential.
That's another thing. Then knowing that person's potential.
Yeah.
Going into the marriage.
I mean, this is Nika Knight. You can see the potential. You can have your expectations, but to me, ultimately, sometimes having those high things sometimes, and just in my opinion, might lead you to this not disappointment. To me, it might lead you to disappointment. So, I mean, that's just my experience, because I expected a lot from my husband when we got married. I seen a whole lot of potential, but then the reason why you see all those things is because of that serotonin level in there, because you all in love and you thinking that, you know, everything is fine, and just because you seen this that you not paying attention to, you see all this other stuff. This is what he said, though. This is what he said. He said this, but like Mama McCoy said, people, I mean, like Mrs. Selfie's husband said, that's in the beginning, like, you know, you doing it because you want to be with them, you love them, and you saying that, you know, because that's what people give you at first. They give you that representative, you know, of their real selves. So sometimes you may not even know, but by the time you start to get married, or by the time somebody asks you to marry them, you should know all these things. You know, you should have passed all of this, and you should already know these things. You should already know what's going on.
All right, so that is our episode for today. So I think that the wrap up, guys, is to really, before you say yes or before you pop that question, really think about where you are at this point in your life, and think about, do you really know who you are before you go into a marriage? Are you going into it with some unrealistic expectations? And really think about that. Think about the expectations you have on yourself, what you have on your partner, and think about if it's realistic. And then I suggest it to every couple. Okay, my husband and I went through it, and I totally think it's helpful. Do marriage counseling before you get married. Because they're going to ask you some real questions, some real deep questions that you're going to have to sit there and really think about and answer. And you should answer them honestly. Because it will kind of help you to see if you're really ready to take that next step. And if you're not really ready to take that next step at that time, then it's okay to wait. It's okay to wait. But that's just my opinion. And like we said, what works in our home, it may not work in your home, but our goal is to just help to build strong marriages, build strong families, and build our community. So anything that you can learn from us, from our experiences, you know, we've learned from other people's experiences and advice, and we just want to pass that on to you guys, okay? So thank you so much for listening. Each one teach one.
I'm Meek and Knight.
Mr. Selfie. Oops.
And
Mr. Selfie.
It's okay. Happy Valentine's Day.
Episode.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Bye.
Valentine's Day. Enjoy.
Bye.
Put a ring on it.